Good morning, everyone. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. Let's start in a comfortable seat of your choice. Make sure you have a couple of yoga blocks or makeshift blocks and a strap. So we've been exploring different angles of approaching the practice of asteya, which means non-stealing. And it's the third yama or ethical principle within the first of 8 limbs of yoga. So I found this article written by Helen Avery in Wanderlust, and she talks about the practice of asteya on the mat, meaning the asana or physical yoga practice. Here's what she said. We've paid our class fee, we've bought an eco-friendly mat and a reusable water bottle. Perhaps we have gone as far as to switch our spandex for hemp and to rock a crystal deodorant instead of one with chemicals. But the greatest way we can bring asteya to our practice before we even begin is by dedicating our practice to others. Not everyone gets to do yoga. We can offer up a prayer that they may too receive all the fruits that we receive. During our practice, we are abundant with opportunities to stay in the mindset of not stealing. We can allow ourselves the full experience of every asana without worrying about the next chaturanga. We can let go of envious thoughts about the person in front of us, a little different on Zoom, who is nailing their 8-angle pose. In our shavasana, we can silence ourselves from yawning or fidgeting so as not to steal another's or our own chance for enlightenment. A great posture to cultivate asteya is Adho Mukha Virasana, which is downward facing hero pose. Here we become the hero who has returned from our quest, laden with trophies and accolades, yet we take this moment to give away all of our boons and bow to the earth. For what was it not for the earth supporting us, we would never have been victorious. How can we ever repay her? I love that, and many of you might know this posture, Adho Mukha Virasana, as child's pose. But let's begin in that rather simple, humbling position of bowing to the earth, bringing the inner edges of your feet to touch, whether knees together or apart, resting your forehead on the ground or a prop, arms wherever you like. And as you allow your body to find stillness here in bowing hero's pose, what do you choose to dedicate your practice to today? Perhaps thinking of someone or a community of beings who could use what you are cultivating through this practice, whether it be inner peace, a sense of vitality in their bodies, others who may not have the opportunity to practice yoga as you do now. Allow your deeper breath to be a celebration, not only for your ability to practice for others, you're sending the fruits of your practice towards. Exhaling deeply through your mouth. And let's take a few more deep breaths like that. Inhaling, allowing your tailbone to lengthen further back and towards your feet as the crown of your head reaches further forward. And exhaling through your mouth, completely hollowing your belly. Notice how your heart center melts closer to the earth. Deep inhale, feel the sides of your torso lengthening, perhaps even now extending your arms forward if they haven't been. And as you exhale, releasing any unnecessary tension that might have layered upon your body, like shoulder blades releasing down the back, jaw softening, eyes relaxing. Let's take a couple more deep exhalations through the mouth here, bowing in hero's pose. Beginning to warm our bodies up as we close the lips, let's ease into Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. By softly narrowing or constricting the back of your throat and easing your breath slowly and equally in and out through your nose, entirely filling up your lungs and even to the pit of your belly, and hollowing your belly to empty the breath fully. As you listen to that whispering sound of your breath gliding past the back of your throat, infuse the qualities that you want to cultivate through this practice today and send off to those you've dedicated to. With your next in-breath, begin to slither onto the ground on your belly into Sphinx pose. Legs straight back, ankles, hips width apart, toes pointed actively. As you firm down through the tops of your feet, let your knees not rest on the floor, but stay lifted as your pelvis is grounded. See that your elbows are about an inch in front of each shoulder as your palms are face down, and keeping your palms still. Imagine as if you're dragging them towards your outer hips to feel your shoulders soften further behind your ears and glide down your back. Taking a few more breaths, steady your gaze on the ground just ahead of your thumbs. As you lengthen the back of your neck and feel your collarbones sort of smile wider and wider, extending your sternum forward. Now keep the active energy of your legs, tops of your feet rooting down every toenail, pressing the earth. And slide your wrists back alongside your floating ribs, hugging your elbows close to your sides, lift your shoulder heads. Now we're gonna hold a hovering palm version of Cobra pose for about 4 breaths. So keeping your feet down, inhale, coil your chest up, look forward on the ground and lift your palms about 2 inches off the floor. Exhale, 4. Inhale, hug your elbows close to your side ribs, broadening your chest. Exhale, 3. Breathing in, lengthen through the sides of your neck, shoulders moving down. Exhale, 2. 1 more breath. Find length through your legs, length through your sternum. Plant your palms and take an inhale into Cobra, regular. Exhale, slide back into bowing hero's pose or child's pose. Inhale, come forward onto hands and knees, parallel your shins, hips width apart. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your pelvis high, arriving in downward facing dog. Take about 5 breaths if you choose to pedal your feet or shift around any way, or right away hold still. Feel space throughout your neck and shoulders. Connectedness to the earth, your fingers spread. Energy rising from crown to tailbone and descending from sitting bones to calves to heels. And now steady your gaze on the floor towards your feet and let's stay still for about 3 more breaths. Continuing to lengthen the tailbone up and back. Draw the navel in towards the back. On your next exhalation, slowly walk your feet to the top of your mat, sort of like you're walking in a tightrope, 1 foot in front of the other. So you're really trying to hollow your belly to bring each foot forward. Arriving at a forward fold with your feet hips width apart, parallel. Bend your knees here a lot. Reach your hands behind you, interlacing your fingers. Shifting your weight a little more into your toes, firm in your belly, and inhale, draw your heart forward. As you bend your elbows closer together, feel your chest blossom open and then hinge even further from your hips, dropping your skull for a few breaths. Maybe shaking your head no gently, relaxing your neck. Arms lifting away from your lower back. shoulders rising away from your neck. Now keep at least a slight bend in your knees and your weight shifting forward. And press your fingertips either onto blocks on the floor ahead, the ground, or your shins. Really using your fingertips to create traction as you inhale to pull your sternum through your upper arms, full length of your spine. Maintain that length and exhale, hinge from your hips even deeper. Firming down through your feet, inhale, sweep your arms overhead, watching your palms touch. Exhale, trace your thumbs to your heart center and arms by your sides. Let's flow right into 3 sun salutation A's. Inhale, circle your arms high, look up. Exhale, bow forward. Press with your fingertips and inhale, extend your heart forward. Carefully step into your version of plank, legs straight or knees down. As you exhale, glide forward, about a foot ahead. Bend your elbows to graze your side ribs and either flow into cobra or upward facing dog. As you exhale, hollow your belly to lift your sitting bones high. Draw your weight back, downward facing dog. Let's hold still for another 3 breaths. Bending your knees, lift your heels and hips. Look beyond your fingertips and empty your breath before walking or lightly jumping to the top. Inhale, press and extend your heart forward. Exhale, fold. Firm down through the earth. Inhale, rise tall, palms meet. Exhale, trace your thumbs to your heart and by your sides. Twice more. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Walk or lightly jump into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling as you expand your chest up. Exhaling as you float your hips back. 3 to 5 breaths. Now, when you're ready, on your own, walk or float to the top of your mat and take one more full Surya Namaskar A, just like that. We'll meet in downward facing dog. And once you've arrived in downward facing dog, taking a few more deep breaths. Slowly walk your hands back towards your feet, preparing for Padahastasana to stretch the outer wrists. Lift your toes and slip your palms face up under the soles of your feet. Try to get the toes to meet the inner creases of your wrists. You can bend your knees any amount. As you inhale, pull your sternum forward through your upper arms. Maintain that length, especially in your neck, as you exhale to bow further. Let's try that once more. Inhale, lengthen forward, gliding your shoulder blades further down your back. Keep your shoulder blades there as you exhale to hinge forward. And then perhaps softly moving your skull, allowing your neck to further relax. You might even flutter your lips to release any accumulated tension in your jaw. You could even wiggle your toes and offer your inner wrists a massage. Just a couple more breaths here. Also deeply opening the back side of your body, from spine to legs. Then slipping your palms out from beneath, bring your hands to your hips and bend your elbows towards the sky. If you have any tenderness in your back, bend your knees here. Firm the front muscles of your thighs like you're trying to lift your kneecaps. Shift your weight forward and firm your belly in. Now imagine you have a helium balloon tied to your sternum, and it's so big that it starts to help you lift up slowly as you inhale. So let's come to the center of your mat and grab your 2 blocks if you have them for more options. Open your arms wide and step or jump your feet to land your ankles pretty much right under your wrists. Blocks right behind your calves' tallest height. So I'm going to mirror you here. Turn out your left leg 90 degrees to trace the midline of your mat with your middle toe and center of the kneecap. Turn in your right leg 45 degrees to trace your left heel to the arch of your right foot. Bending your left knee directly on top of the ankle. Open your arms wide, landing warrior 2. Let's flow in and out of it first. As you firm down through your big toe mound of your front foot and the outside edge of your back heel. Inhale, straighten your left leg and lift your arms. Find a little more length through your spine. Keep that length and exhale, return to warrior 2. Twice more. Inhale, rise up while rooting down. Exhale, bend, expanding through the arms. Inhale, lift. And exhale, now let's arrive in warrior 2. Taking at least 5 deep breaths as you steady your gaze forward, just past your left hand. Notice how your left outer hip rotates slightly beneath your body as you're firming the top of your right thigh bone back towards the wide edge of your mat behind you. Spine is upright as the pelvis is upright. Eyes, shoulders, jaw relaxed. Once again, firm down through your feet and inhale, straighten your front leg, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, rebend your front knee as we prepare for side angle pose. So the legs are similar to warrior 2, but for me, I like to shorten my stance a couple inches. You can play with that. Continue to roll your left outer hip beneath your body. Keep the bend of your front knee and glide your pelvis sideways towards your rear leg while reaching your left arm forward horizontally so that you're trying to lengthen the left side of your torso, which will become the underside as you lower your left forearm onto your left thigh. Now lowering that arm, try not to collapse your weight into it. You're rooting down, lift out of it, raising your right arm towards the sky. Now feel this strong line of energy. The outside edge of your back heel rooting down beyond the surface of the earth, up your right leg as it's straight, up your tailbone, up your spine, up through the crown of your head, and even reaching beyond your skull. Imagine that line really strong and lengthening with each breath. Now, the block is there in case you want to explore opening your left hip further by placing your left hand just to the left side of your left leg, landing your fingertips on the block at the height that you need in order not to compress or shorten the left side of your torso. You're still maintaining that length in the side bodies. Now, if your left hand is outside of your left leg, press your arm and your left leg against each other and feel your glute enliven. Extension as you rotate your right tricep and sweep your right arm overhead beyond your crown, spiraling your chest towards the sky. Perhaps even looking up. Another 3 breaths. Extended side angle pose, or Utthita Parshvakonasana. From here, lower your two hands to frame your front foot and pivot into a lunge. Lowering your back knees, separate your legs hips distance apart. We're going to scoot your front ankle even wider out to its side to come into lizard lunge, even further opening the hip. So as your two hands are inside of your front ankle, flex your front foot and splay open that thigh so that you're just leaning on the knife outer edge of that foot. And then from here, there are a lot of options as we stay a little longer. You could bring your forearms down. Test how your hip responds to that. You could always back off if needed. You might even bend your back knee. Backstroke the opposite side arm to catch hold of your back ankle or foot. And as you draw that in closer to your glutes, you help to lengthen your quadricep while opening the front of your shoulder in a slight twist. Now, from all these options, how are you practicing both ahimsa and satya, or non-harm and truthfulness, in cultivating asteya, not stealing the freedom of breath, the freedom of flow and expansion, and even the freedom of enjoyment in your practice here? Last 3 breaths. If you have hold of your back foot, gently release it. Let's slowly return to a high lunge facing the same direction. Then in this wide stance, pivot your feet to parallel the wide edge of your mat into a wide-legged forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. Here we'll stay for just about 3 breaths of transition. Arms wherever you like. You can clasp them again behind your back. You could catch hold of opposite elbows and softly swing your torso with slightly bent knees. Then bring your hands to your hips, point your elbows towards the sky, firm your belly and fronts of your thighs. Then imagine that helium balloon lifting your sternum slowly as you breathe in to rise. So as you reopen your arms, align your ankles pretty much under your wrists. And now turn out your right leg 90 degrees so that the middle of your kneecap and middle toe trace the midline of your mat. Turn in your left leg 45 degrees and trace your front heel to the arch of your back foot. Bend your right knee just over the ankle, open your arms wide, and you're in Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. But let's flow, root down through the big toe mound of your front foot and the outside edge of your back heel. And inhale, straighten your front leg, raise your arms tall to your spine. Keep that length and exhale, rebend, Warrior 2. Twice more, inhale, lift up. Find space in your neck, 2. Exhale, Warrior 2. Last time, inhale, lift. Keep lifting as you exhale, bend, and steady your gaze just past your right hand. As you're wrapping your right outer hip beneath your body, firm the top of your left thigh bone towards the wide edge of your mat behind you. Feel your pelvic bowl balanced and upright. A little bit of engagement in your lower belly as you lift your spine and relax any unnecessary tension. Inhale, root down through your feet, lift and straighten your front leg. And then exhale, rebend. Now I like to shorten my stance a couple or 3 inches for side angle pose. You can see what your body needs. Can you wrap your right sitting bone under? Glide your pelvis sideways towards your rear leg and reach your right arm forward horizontally as far as you can, lengthening the right side of your torso before you lowering your right forearm onto your right thigh to spring your weight off of, not to completely lean on. As you raise your left arm towards the sky, take notice of your quality of breath. Now envision that strong line of energy here, rooting down through the outside edge of your back heel, beyond the surface of the earth, lengthening up your left leg, up your tailbone, spine, crown of your head, beyond your skull. Continue to lengthen that line as you spiral your chest along that axis to face the sky. If available for your right hip, you could place your right fingertips on a block of the floor just to the right of your right leg, directly beneath your shoulder. Firming arm and right leg into each other. Feel your right glute engage a little more. And now let's spiral your left outer upper arm to face the wall that you are facing before reaching that arm overhead, and continue to spiral your chest towards the sky. Wrap your right sitting bone under. Another 4 deep breaths. Extended side angle pose. Look down at your front foot, and then lower your 2 hands to frame it, pivoting into a lunge. Scoot your front foot out to its side further and lower your back knee for lizard lunge. So now you have your 2 hands inside of your front ankle. Flex your front foot to stabilize the knee while splaying open your front thigh, leaning just the outer edge of the foot on the ground as you gently scissor that hip back while extending your chest forward. Now notice if the side of your hips needs a different variation or intensity. You might explore coming down into your forearms, knowing that you can backtrack if it's gone too far. You might explore bending your back knee, scooting it back so you're not putting any weight on the kneecap, but the weight is just above the knee on the thigh. And then backstroke the opposite side arm as your back leg to reach hold of your foot or ankle, so that as you bring it closer to your glutes, you further lengthen your quadricep and find a twist to open your chest. Let's take another 4 deep breaths here. On your next exhale, make your way into downward facing dog, in which you could either flow into plank through a vinyasa, or take a moment in bowing hero's pose, also known as child's pose, knowing that it's available any time that you need. Deep breath in. Through your nose, softly whisper your breath out. Feel the steadiness of Ujjayi Pranayama. Now, as you keep your 2 hips leveled by firming your outer hips towards your midline and lifting the back leg from the inner thigh, flex your right foot, inhale, raise it slowly behind you. As you exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose and lift your belly, press down through your palms, softly landing right foot just inside of right hand. Stay high on the ball of your back foot. In this high lunge, bend your back knee and begin to lift up into crescent pose. As your tailbone is drawing downward, lift your frontal hip bones and continue to scissor your right hip slightly back, carrying your left outer hip forward. And then you might start to straighten the back leg. Join your hands together at your heart. Imagine your left heel is pressing against the back wall as you inhale to lengthen your sternum towards the front wall. Keep hugging your hips still and then twist to your right, either lowering your left hand to the floor, block just under your shoulder, or hooking your left elbow against your outer right thigh in a twist. Take a deep breath in, lengthening your spine forward through your crown. Deep breath out, hollowing your belly and continuing to rotate your rib cage. As you continue to listen to your breath, steady your gaze about 2 feet ahead of your right toes. Now, if you can, stay in the twist, and we're going to begin to lift your left flex foot off the floor, hovering the leg before you very softly step it to meet the right foot in chair twist. So shifting your weight forward, flexing your left foot, sort of like a twisting version of Warrior 3, before stepping left foot right up against the right, sitting low as you twist. Harita Utkatasana. Last 3 breaths. Sit a little lower. Inhale your arms overhead. And then exhale, rise up to stand. As you bring your left hand to your left outer hip, turn up your right palm as though you're about to receive something, and bend your right knee to hug your left knee while anchoring your tailbone down towards your inner left heel. So with your right palm, receive the inside, if you can, of your right ankle or foot. Otherwise, whatever part of the foot you can reach, and then reunite your right knee with the left. Redraw the tailbone down. Feel your lower belly firm. As you begin to kick your right leg back, as though you're trying to come into Warrior 3, keep your 2 hips facing forward, raise your left arm towards the sky, and feel the counter force of pulling your right ankle or foot towards you at the same time. Lifting your chest like there's that helium balloon at your sternum. Let's take at least 3 more breaths here in dancer's pose. Natarajasana. And slowly, very slow motion, enter Warrior 3, extending your right leg back, extending your spine forward into a horizontal line as you square your hips. You could lower your hands on the ground or blocks if needed, if you need more support, or play with any variation of your arms, like reaching them forward. Taking your time to land Warrior 1, step your right foot to the rear of your mat and lower the heel. And once there, take a moment to make sure that your feet are about hips width apart so that you're able to turn both hips to evenly face forward while completely straightening your back leg and pressing the heel against the ground and bending your front knee just over the ankle. From there, reach your hands behind your back, interlacing your fingers. Now you might try to switch up the thumb and index finger that's on top this time. Inhale, coil your chest up. Now you could stay here, or as you exhale, begin to bow, either to rest on top of your front thigh or inside towards the ankle. Humble warrior. Now, especially if you're bowing, continue to square your hips evenly forward by thinking of drawing your left hip back, and feel the counter weight of your right heel supporting your balance. Those of you bowing in here in Humble Warrior, this is a wonderful time to really let the weight of your brain and skull just help to release your neck as you're lifting the shoulders away from it, arms reaching forward. Let's take the last 3 breaths here. Lowering your hands to the floor, you might enter plank for a vinyasa on your own, or maybe some cat-cows, or straight to downward dog where we'll meet. you choose. Deep breath in and slowing it down. Couple more breaths. Now, as you keep your hips leveled, firm your outer hips towards your midline. Lift from your inner thigh. Inhale slowly, flex your left foot behind you. Exhale, bend your left knee towards your nose. Hover forward to very softly step the left foot into a high lunge, just on the inside of your left thumb. Feet hips width apart, back heel lifted high. Bend your back knee and begin to rise into crescent pose. Feel your tailbone anchoring downward as you lift your frontal hip bone slightly. Bringing your right outer hip forward as you draw your left outer hip back. Then join your hands in prayer. Imagine pressing your right heel against your rear wall as you inhale to lengthen your sternum towards your front wall. Rotating at your waistline, turn your chest to the left and enter the twist you took on the first side. Either lowering right hand inside of the leg or hooking right elbow outside of the thigh. Breathe in, press back to your right heel and reach forward to your crown. Breathe out, firm your hips still and continue to twist. Now, steady your gaze about 2 feet ahead of your left toes. Slowly flexing your right foot off the ground, hover forward in your twist to step right foot to meet left, right up against it in chair twist. Arriving with the hips low, knees in one line, spine lengthening forward as you rotate your chest. About 3 more breaths. Sit a little lower and inhale, unravel your arms up in chair. Press through all of your feet and exhale, rise tall. With gratitude in mountain pose. So from here, bring your right hand to your right hip. Flip your left palm to face up so the elbow is against your left hip. Feel your tailbone like a heavy anchor seeking the ground just inside of your right heel. As you bend your left knee to hug your right knee. Catch hold of your inner left ankle or foot or whatever you can reach there. Then re-hug your knee with a re-anchor your tailbone. As you begin to kick your left leg back towards Warrior 3, raise your right arm and feel that helium balloon lifting your sternum again. Left hip, bring it forward. Right hip, tack it back. Feel the counter forces supporting your balance of kicking your left leg and pulling it closer to you. Let's take another 3 breaths. Natarajasana. Now, without slingshotting your leg, very slowly find a horizontal line in Warrior 3. Bowing the torso forward, extending the left leg back, squaring your 2 hips to face the ground. You could place your fingertips on blocks or the floor, or play with other variations of your arms here. Deep breaths. As you feel ready, take your time softly stepping your left foot to the rear of your mat in Warrior 1. There, have your feet about hips width apart and feel your entire back heel pressing down. Straightening your back leg, squaring your hips forward, and bending your front knee right on top of the ankle. Then reach your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, maybe the opposite thumb on top. Breathe in, coil your chest up. Stay here or exhale, begin a bow forward, humble warrior, also known as devotional warrior. In yesterday's practice or approach to asteya, non-stealing, we talked about reframing the attitude of ownership or owning things, owning properties, owning possessions to caretaker instead. Notice the shift in the dynamic and that relationship between us and that so-called possession. Even our pets, rather than owners, we can become caretakers with the attitude of asteya. Let's take a couple last breaths. Now you decide, do you need to flow right now? Do you need to be still? Some of you might take a vinyasa or cat-cows or come into bowing heroes pose. We'll meet in downward facing dog again. Settle in for about 5 deep breaths. Rebalancing, re-lengthening in and out. So in that reading at the start, we talked about fidgeting and how that might be a way of sort of robbing ourselves of the full immersion into the moment, sort of a distraction. So we're going to do a little sort of preparatory movement here in downward facing dog. Take a look at your wrists and see that they're shoulders width apart. Wrap your triceps towards the ground and create width across the tops of your shoulders, and then let your head fall. Now firm your belly inward towards your spine. You might even like to bring your feet together to touch here. So we're going to practice to any amount that your body is feeling it, lowering your two bent elbows to hover off the floor simultaneously at the same height. So as you're doing that, try not to splay open your elbows. Keep the arms parallel, slowly bending the elbows, and then slowly straighten the arms. Try a couple more. Inhale, bend the elbows, shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, straighten the arms. One more time. Inhale, bend the elbows simultaneously, hugging your triceps towards each other. And straighten your arms. Let's lower the knees and come to sit on the shins. And just sit tall as you interlace your fingers again behind your lower back. But this time imagine you have a tennis ball and you're hugging it in between your elbows. And as you hug that tennis ball, wrap your wrists over to the left side of your hips and drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Oops, wrong ear. Left ear towards left shoulder. That's it. And take a deep breath to smile your collarbones a little wider apart. Exhaling the shoulder blades to melt further down. Lower belly drawing in, lifting to lengthen the lower spine. One more deep breath on this side. Release your arms and tuck your chin down to your chest. And then lift your skull upright. Again, switch the interlacing of your fingers behind your back and wrap your wrist towards your right hip as you squeeze the imaginary tennis ball between your elbows. This time, drop right ear towards right shoulder and breathe. And then exhale, relax here. For those of you that want a little soul stretch, like literally the soles of your feet, tuck your toes behind you. You might have to bull kick a few times to really get them under, and then sit back on your heels as we approach this other shoulder opener. Cactus, bend your elbows apart, cross the right elbow over the left. Either hug yourself, hook your thumbs, or wrap your forearms in palms. So we're splaying the shoulder blades wide apart while relaxing them down and lengthening the neck. And if you are in full eagle arms like this, lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders and gently press your forearms away from your face. Breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. And as you exhale, melt or soften that area. Just 2 more breaths. Lift your elbows a little higher, breathe in. Exhale, cactus, bend the elbows apart and switch the opposite elbow on top. Hug, hook thumbs, or wrap forearms in palms. Shoulders soften down. Elbows rise to the height of shoulders. Forearms gently pressing away from your face. Just about 3 more breaths directed into your upper back, right between your shoulder blades. As you soften the base of your neck in the area of your trapezius muscle. All right, from here, we're going to get set to practice dolphin pose, and then the second round, dolphin transition to headstand for those of you that want to practice progressing towards it. So let's take dolphin pose with the fingers interlaced. I like to coil the pinky fingers like a snail so you don't squish one on top. And then plug your elbows onto the ground exactly shoulders distance, and make sure they remain shoulders distance so that if they begin to splay when you're in dolphin, you come back down to your knees and reinstate that shoulders distance. Really important for the stability of your shoulders. Melt your chest towards the ground slightly, further plugging the shoulder bones into their sockets, and slide your shoulder blades down your back, lengthening your neck. Be mindful of keeping the space in your neck and shoulders just like you have now. Now you could decide to just let your head drop so you're not bearing any weight on it, or look forward, still not bearing weight. Root down through your forearms and outer wrists, tuck your toes and lift your hips. See if you can walk your feet forward, maybe bring them together to touch. Breathe. Feel your belly firm as you lift your hips high and feel arrows of energy traveling down the backs of your thighs, calves, and heels. As you press your chest towards your shins, continue to find space in your neck and shoulders. Now, some of you might vary dolphin by lifting a leg straight up as you flex the foot and keep your hips leveled or squared. And then you might switch sides on the second round if you're not going to enter headstand for the second round. And then when you're ready, come down to rest in bowing hero's pose or child's pose. You might like to rest your arms down by your sides here. Just give your shoulders a little softening. Now, if you're opting to practice dolphin pose one more time for this last round, feel free to take it on your own with whatever variations you want to explore. Those of you entering Shirshasana, traditional headstand, let's go ahead and set the arms just like dolphin pose. Interlace the fingers, root down the elbows exactly shoulders width. Now, find the very, very top of your head. You want that height, that very top center, to be what meets the ground, not towards your hairline, not towards the back of your skull, because the purpose is to maintain the natural curvature and space in your neck. So the back of your skull is lightly touching the inside of your palms. As you root down to your forearms, you're lifting the shoulders. There's a rebounding effect. rooting to rise, thus creating space in your neck, more strength of upper body and arms here. Then you tuck your toes and walk your feet forward, play with coming high on your toes and feeling how your pelvis begins to tilt upside down like you're emptying the bowl of soup. Now you can start to flex one foot and keep your hips square as you lift one leg. And then maybe this is it. And then you switch legs and you're just playing with feeling that upside down position with a sense of stability. Notice I'm not kicking up. I highly recommend not kicking up into headstand because different than handstand, what absorbs the shock of kicking up is your neck. And that is not what you want in this pose. And sometimes as you're lifting one leg straight up, your hamstrings can do the work of lifting the bottom leg up too. And you begin to bring the flex feet together and lift your inner heels towards the sky. Lift your tailbone towards your inner heels and feel the stacking of major joints that creates the architecture of basically upside down mountain pose. Arms a little different. So whatever inversion that you've chosen to practice, as you feel ready, gently make your way out of it into child's pose again, or Adho Mukha Virasana, bowing hero. You may want to give your neck a little movement by resting the center of your forehead or the brow center on the ground or a block, and then just gently shaking your head no as you put some weight on your forehead. Traction movement into your neck. Take a slow belly breath that spills into your chest, all the walls of your rib cage. And into your mouth, a sound, let it out, ha. And a couple more like that. Ah. Deep breaths of celebration. You get to practice yoga today. Get to feel this aliveness in your lungs. And you're sending the energy of your practice to those who might need it right now. Slide your hands back towards your outer knees. Tuck your chin towards your chest. And as you breathe in, very slowly stack one vertebra at a time, bottom up. And as you come to sit, maybe with the legs in front of you this time, extend your right arm, again, I'm mirroring you, out to the right like you're saying stop. So you're flexing the wrist, pressing the heel of that palm out as you use your left fingertips to guide the right side of your skull and drop left ear to left shoulder again. Relax the shoulders down. Just a couple more breaths. Feel your eyes soften, muscles behind them soften. One more exhalation. And then transfer your skull onto your right fingertips as you extend your left arm out to the left, flexing at the wrist, pressing the heel of the palm out. Shoulders soften down. Feel your jaw unravel any tension. Behind your ears soften too. And from here, relax and extend your legs forward. Feet hips width apart, flexed. Press your big toe mounds forward and allow your inner thighs to slightly spin towards the ground, creating some traction for your lower back. Root down to your sitting bones. You might use a strap around the balls of your feet or extend your arms up. Feel the rebound as you root down to lift higher through your crown, breathing in. And then let that helium balloon take you forward. Heart still rising as you bow down. Now, if you don't have a strap, catch onto your legs somewhere or clasp your big toes and continue to extend your heart center forward. Melt your shoulders down. Feel a slight lift in your belly supporting your back. Last 3 breaths. Paschimottanasana. Again, that helium balloon at work. Lead with your sternum as you breathe in to rise. So let's take one last minute for a relaxing posture to cool down with legs up higher than your heart. If you have a wall, you could scoot up right up against it and come into legs at the wall pose. If you have a block or two, you could take supported shoulder stand like me, or you might practice regular shoulder stand if you are free from any neck or shoulder injuries and know how to practice it safely. Those of you coming into supported shoulder stand, lie on your back with knees bent, lift your pelvis, and place a block or two flat underneath your sacrum, crossing your mat. And then lifting your legs, make sure that your sacrum feels fully supported. Tilt your chin slightly away from your chest. You might like to rest your palms onto your belly, help to feel grounded. Turn your palms up, help to further open your inner shoulders. Giving your feet and legs some relief here as you stimulate both circulation and digestion. Take a few cycles of breath where you breathe out a little longer than you breathe in, like a 5 count inhale and a 7 count exhale. It's a great way to also cool down, relax the nervous system.
Connected to the core of me. My roots reach deeply. I am connected to the core of me. My roots reach deeply. I am connected to the core of me. My roots reach deeply. I am connected to the core of me. My roots reach deeply.
Now, take your time. You gradually lowering your pelvis to the ground, setting up for a restful, still Shavasana. You might even hug your knees in once your pelvis is on the ground, or come into a happy baby or circling the legs. Take a few deep, clearing, maybe even loud sighs. Just clear out your lungs before you let go of controlling your breath. Take up space with your body. Give every part of it permission to rest, perhaps with a mental scan of the areas that may still be exerting effort. And then commit to this gift of stillness and awareness. You're presenting yourself, and you're presenting to those you've dedicated your practice for.
connected to the core of me. My roots reach deeply.
As you connect to the stillness inside, allow your fingers and toes to explore gentle movement. Maybe even your skull or your shoulders or your mouth. Taking your time to eventually lift your torso. Find a comfortable seat. For those of you staying for 5 minutes of silent meditation, here's a self inquiry that might lend itself into your practice. How can gratitude, humility, and compassionate generosity support our practice of asteya, non-stealing? 5 minutes.
Connected to the core. My roots reach deep. My roots. I am connected to the core of me. I'm connected to the core of me. Reach deep. My roots. My roots. I am connected to the core of me. My roots. I am connected. I am connected.
like to end this practice with a mudra, a hand gesture, and it's actually a symbol of a lotus flower, which represents compassion. So it's bringing your inner thumbs to touch, your inner pinky fingers to touch, and it's like a blossoming lotus as you bring your thumbs either to your heart center, perhaps towards ajna or the third eye center, that of having clear perspective, whichever resonates more for you. And as you think of whomever you might have dedicated your practice to, you might see this gesture as a receiving of the gifts of your practice today into your palms, entering your being, but also your being a conduit for releasing it into the world, out to your palms, sort of like a circuit. Into your palms, the intention, the fruits of your intention and practice, circulating through you and your inner being, physical being, and then out through your palms back into the world. And maybe towards someone specific. Through the practice of Asteya, may we continue to contribute to harmony and balance. Let's close the practice with one Om. Take a deep breath in. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.